So in the orientation video for the corporation that I am in, I actually have a bit where I recommend that new players do not try to plex their game time. Your question leads me to think that maybe that's what's going on. Yeah, for Omega. Okay, so I'm just gonna straight up recommend against that. What happens is Eve starts to feel like a job. There are lots of good ways to make ISK as an alpha, and we can talk about those, but for that specific purpose, I have to sort of put that warning out there, that disclaimer out there. I don't think that it will be fun for you. To really make good ISK doing exploration, in my experience, you have to go to Sanchez Space, which is in the south. That's Esoteria, Stain, think Period Basis, Catch, and Providence. Actually, there's 2 more regions. Those are all Sanchez Space. The relic sites in those areas drop intact armor plates, which sell really well. They're very valuable. However, because it's so valuable, there's a lot of competition. Excuse me, a lot of competition in those areas for those sites, and so there's a lot of PvP along with your PvE there. That's nullsec exploration. Abyssals could be a good option for you. Obviously lower tier abyssals, but there's definitely an opportunity for good ISK there. Yeah, but just remember, alpha is intended to be an extended trial of the game. Alpha is not intended to be a full way to play the game. Even if CCP markets it that way, that's just what it is. It's true. I've never done faction war missions. I know that they're good for getting your standings up, but I've personally never done them for ISK making. If you can join a good nullsec group, by the way, or even a lowsec group that has access to R64s, and you have, you do what I do and you work from home, and you can kind of just over here AFK mine, even with an alpha, with a venture, you can make good passive ISK that way. You can start PvPing on day 1, and the thing that I mentioned earlier about PvP happening to you whether you like it or not, knowing how to PvP, even if it's in very cheap, inexpensive ships, will be invaluable in keeping you safer when you want to be safer. So if you want to be less vulnerable while doing your ISK making activities, your PvE, knowing how to PvP makes that immeasurably more possible. If you don't know what PvP is, if you don't know how to do it, if you've never experienced it, you're completely blind to all of the potential dangers and mistakes you are putting yourself in when you are, going about your PvE, if that makes sense. At least know a bit about it, usually by experiencing it voluntarily, so that you can be inoculated a bit against some of the most common errors that new players make, thinking that they can simply avoid PvP and just make ISK, because that's not how the game works. If there's a method for you to make money, generally there is a method for someone else to stop you from doing that. And sometimes they'll do it just for fun. In fact, most of the time they'll do it just for fun. The question was about cap boosters. What kind of cap boosters to use? The largest or the smallest that will fit in the cap booster that you're using? The answer is almost never the smallest. It's usually the largest or the second largest, and it depends completely on the situation you intend to put yourself in with that ship. If you do the largest, you're generally getting 1 cycle, and then you have to wait for the full 10-second reload before you can cycle again. If you're under newt pressure, if you're getting newted by something, you're under new pressure by someone, then if you're using the largest, you can run into a situation where you cap up full, and then you start running your modules and then immediately get capped out. You can't cap up again, you can't run the cycle again, because you've used your only charge, you have to wait the full 10 seconds. In that case, it's really nice to have the, I think, 2 that you get when you use the second largest, or maybe 3 or 4. Basically, you can cap up about halfway with the second largest charge. When you get neuted, you have another round in the chamber, basically, so you can get kind of 2 cycles of your important modules off before getting hit with the newts again, if that makes sense. So it's very dependent on whether you're under newt pressure or not, and how cap hungry your modules are. So this is one. Basically, all the Brutix fits you're going to find will be brawling fit. You can sort of rail kite fit the Brutix if you want to, but the Brutix Navy issue is actually much better at that than the standard Brutix. So Brawling Fit Brutix, this one doesn't take advantage of the armor repair bonus and instead goes full hull tank. You get to do a bit more damage with the downside of not quite as much sustained tank, but you do have more buffer, quite a bit more buffer. Oh, you'll notice that one had a skirmish command boost. That's so you can basically put a speed burst for yourself in there. This one has an armor command burst because you are running dual armor repairs on this one. So less damage, but more sustained tank, a little less overall EHP. But again, that sustained tank is what you're relying on to stay alive. Mid slots, you'll notice, are basically identical. And then the rigs would be repair rigs instead of those bulkheads on the other one. Both of these are run up, get in their face, and melt them with blaster damage. These are all going to be very similar in their playstyle, which is get on top of the target and kill them. This one obviously does more damage with drones than its Brutix counterpart. You'll actually very commonly see Myrmidons either with newts in the high slots or no high slots, and they'll use that extra fitting room to fit more stuff in the mids and lows, or sort of off-race weapons, in this case autocannons. You could also put missile launchers on there if you want to. Basically, you want to pick something that's not going to take capacitor, because you're going to be draining a lot of your capacitor running these reps. Then this one is a triple rep Myrm. So the other one was dual rep. This is triple rep. In order to compensate, it's got 2 cap boosters and then small artillery in the top just to fill that out, basically. This is actually an older fit. What you could do is drop maybe these and put on a command burst module, which would look something like this. Yep, and that fits just fine. And then you can fill out that last bit of power grid and CPU with maybe some NOSs or newts in the high slot there. But yeah, this one's tricky. You'll see it says, well, actually, let's put charges and everything and just get an idea. So we would probably do, it's hard to tell, rapid repair or energizing. Both of them are good options. Let's see what the difference is. With energizing, it's telling us, this is a weird value, but we can just use it for comparison. 220 HP per second, and rapid repair 259 with slightly less resist. I would probably go with rapid repair for this. That's a mean tank. And then you're running cap boosters, so you'll probably run what, 800s, I think. Yeah. You could run 400s of this. We talked about that actually on yesterday's stream. In cap boosters, do you run the largest or do you run the second largest? If you're under newt pressure, a lot of times you want the second largest, but there's already so much to manage on this ship. You'll probably want to just go with the largest. And you'll notice with everything loaded and running here, you are not cap stable. You're not anywhere close to cap stable. That smart bomb is taking up a lot of the cap. But what you'll want to do is, once you're on top of your target, kill that micro warp drive, and you'll be able to run this a lot more smoothly. Everything will kind of run a little more smoothly. So there's the triple rep version. All right. question is, I just got potted for the first time since I came back from many years back, lost my implants, etc. Frankly, I have no idea what they were. Now my turrets are missing a lot, so I'm assuming I had some to help with that. Just wondering what I can do to boost my hit rates with turrets. Of note, I've been playing on and off for 15 years, just back recently flying a Megathron. Okay. Is your Megathron fit with blasters or railguns? Also, you can find your losses, including your pod loss, by going to your character sheet, which is your portrait here in the top left. Go to interactions, go to combat log, show losses, and you should be able to see the pod loss, and it'll list the implants that were in it. But I doubt that your implants were helping that much with your tracking. Rails, well, that's the problem. So if you are in a close range engagement with someone, you're using rails, you're in trouble. I don't know how close you are, if they have decent transversal, even at range. Basically, large rails need a very either well-tackled target or a whole lot of range and transversal management to land hits. That pretty much goes for most long-range weapons, especially large ones.